This is Ready Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, universal energy life force. Welcome from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher. So we are on a journey through this wonderful modality of Reiki. And on this journey, you are so fortunate not only to have one guide, but two. So I am your first guide, Tracy C. Wright.
And I am your second guide, Millie Pampina.
Now, today I am so excited. I am like levitating because I have a magical, wonderful guest today. I met her years ago in Murraysville, Pennsylvania, when I had been seeking and searching out a yoga studio. And there it was, and it felt like home. So this is Autumn Amoroso, and she has been a wonderful mentor to me over the years. So I am so happy that she is here. She is so busy and she has graciously agreed to join us today. So hello, Autumn. Welcome to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Millie. This is great to be a part of this. I'm so excited about what you guys are doing, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yes. And so I wanted just to tell you some fun facts about Autumn. So Autumn is the founder and owner of Breathe Yoga, which is located in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. She opened the studio in 2018, where I came to her quickly, and I was there sometimes twice a day. So I came quite frequently. And her vision to bring yoga for everyone. So that's what made her studio so unique in Murraysville, because she welcomed everyone. It was just such a loving, wonderful environment. She offered classes and training for people on all ages, sizes, and abilities. She's been practicing yoga since 1992. She has her ERYT 500-hour yoga instructor, an experienced registered teacher through the Yoga Alliance. So lots of hours here. So she has over 3,500 hours of teaching, which is super important when you're out there looking for teachers. You want to look for these teachers that have these credentials with them to get the best type of care and compassion and experience. So super important. She is the founder and lead teacher of Breathe Yoga, 200-hour and 300-hour registered yoga school. She majored in psychology at Robert Morris University and trained in working with people with specific physical and mental health issues. As a Level-3 practitioner, she offers Reiki and Empath Healing services and Chakra rebalancing. And she is the mother of 4 beautiful children. So welcome, friends. So glad you are here. So we're going to start our podcast today with some questions. So I shared with our listeners some things about you. So if you want to tell us anything else about yourself, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So everything you said is correct. Yoga and meditation both simultaneously have been part of my journey since prepubescence. I sort of fell into it. I started doing it just like on ESPN, when they would have their multitude of aerobic things. I would do some step aerobics, and then eventually I would get into some yoga. But it's the yoga that I really latched onto and just started growing that myself. It took me through early days of being a young mom, a young wife, going through the ups and downs of that, going through moves across the United States, different life changes for myself and for people around me. And just in the world, I feel very thankful for it. And that's kind of what I want to bring to people is I always see myself as a connector. And so my role is not to perform or I don't do anything. My role is to connect people to the highest version of themselves, the end. So my role, in my opinion, feels very easy. You get what whatever you need out of any given situation. And I think it's been so instrumental for me, that I want to help people to connect with that on their own. And to be able to find that in whatever way, and to be able to share that in whatever way feels authentic for them.
Wonderful. I love that. And I can't tell you how homey and wonderful Breathe always felt. And it wasn't necessarily the space, it was you, the other teachers. So it was that vibe. So we could have put you anywhere and have that same feeling as well.
Thankful for that. Good.
So we know you do yoga, and our podcast is about Reiki. So when did Reiki come into your life?
So I did my initial Reiki training, I guess about 6 or 7 years ago. I had my first, I became interested in Reiki. Many things that happen with me, they just sort of alight themselves upon me. And then all of a sudden I have this idea or information is presented to me. And then I just go with it. I'm a researcher. I love diving deep and just discovering. So I started diving deeper. I had my first Reiki session probably about 8 years ago. And as soon as I had it, I knew, oh, that's what I need to be doing. And so I started my Reiki training, and with a lovely, lovely person named Dave Troutman. He's wonderful. He's in Hermitage, PA. And also, and he's good friends with people that you may know, Carol Obley, who's a lovely spiritist, medium, psychic. She also does Reiki. I don't know if she does Reiki a lot, but she does do it. And when we do Reiki shares, and I grew up in the church, right? So my dad's a pastor, my mom's a pastor, actually, in the sort of non-denominational Christian faith. And so I sort of grew up with hands-on healing, right? Sort of spiritual things, but in a very specific way. And so I think part of my journey was breaking away from that, which felt like the right choice for me, and moving into a space that felt very authentic and spiritual for me. And so it's ironic that I still do laying on of hands, but in a very, very, not in the thing is, it's not even super different. But it is, it's just ironic for me that I'm still in that space as far as I like sort of tried to break away from it. And
Right.
here we are.
You couldn't call back. And there's no wrong way to do it. You just
Nope.
follow your intuition, and it's your intent. So yeah,
Agreed.
so if the intent is there, you are all good. Perfect.
Agreed.
Yeah, so in this field of Reiki, what are some of the misconceptions that you see around you in this work?
Well, honestly, the misconceptions have been my own, to be quite frank. I guess growing up, I was raised to believe that people who were very dedicated to the religion were going to be martyred, or sort of, there was going to be some sort of pushback from, what do they call people in the world? From the world, right? Or just others or whatever. So I guess I kind of took that misconception into my own spirituality. I just assumed that if I mention Reiki or spirit guides or mediumship or psychic anything or just energy, that people were going to rail against it and they were just not going to be interested in it. And it has been my wonderful discovery that people are very interested in it. And my sister said something to me when I was sort of going through my spiritual awakening, maybe, in my like 20s, 30s, I don't know. And I knew I had all these abilities. I just didn't know what to do with them, because I had not aligned myself with sort of mentors in this field yet. I was just sort of coming to the understanding, the awareness of these abilities that were there. And she said, that's not my path. All this psychic stuff that you're doing, Akashic, mediumship, Reiki, I don't know, that's not my jam. But if that's your jam, then you need to stop making apologies for it. I mean, if this is something that is like your gift to the world, you need to be out there and sharing it unapologetically. And so I think that the discovery was mine, that we're at a higher vibration than I think politics and culture may give us the awareness of.
Right. Yeah, it just seems amazing how we put that pressure on ourselves with things and act, and hide this in a way. So it's just
Right.
interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
it's part of the culture to do that because it's this understanding that it's wrong, right? I grew up deeply embedded in Judeo-Christian philosophy, and it's very deeply, it's not, here's the thing, it's not deeply embedded in Judeo-Christian philosophy, it's embedded in modern day culture and political culture. But in actuality, those places were very mystical. Those spaces were very spiritual. And it's sort of the lens that we put on it because it makes sense today. A book, stories that are 2,000 to 4,000 years old, you know, it wasn't written in 23. So you kind of have to see it with a different lens. So yeah, I think it's super important for people to understand that spirituality comes in all different forms and there's no right or wrong. That's one of the things that I've loved studying Hinduism as part of my teacher training schools. It is the foundation of yoga, which is the foundation of Buddhism and all those things. To discover that there's no wrong answer from a philosophy that's thousands of years old was really freeing for me. And it really has helped me to just dive into, for example, Reiki, full on. I feel very comfortable and free. It feels like a very free space for me to be able to tune in to spirits and spirit guides and energy, and to be able to help people with that is, I mean, there's nothing else for me. That's the best.
That's perfect. So, yeah, wonderful. I love that. So, with that information, what do you wish that your younger self would have known about this current profession you're in?
Well, my younger self, I wish it knew anything besides the very thin awareness of life that was very much regimented. It was a very specific worldview that I was presented with. So I used to say when I was younger, because I was into fashion design, because I'm a creative a little bit, and I used to say I read two things, Vogue and the Bible. And for me, that really represents my worldview. There was the absolute truth, and there was everything else that was fun and interesting for me. But
Right.
they were two separate things. And I either wanted to do, I mean, no offense to fashion design or Vogue, but like, it's not, you're not helping the world. I mean, you are, everybody looks great and it helps in
Right.
its own way. Like, I love that journey. However, I was too terrified to sort of step into anything that could be a competition for Christianity or like what I was told was like the truth. Because if you veer away, things are going to go very poorly for you. So I think my younger self, and that's honestly how I raised my children. That's one of the questions I ask myself all the time. Who did I want when I was younger? What hero did I want? Or what lesson do I wish that I had had? And so I
Right.
give my children, we have an open door policy, right? We have anything's allowed on the table and it's a safe space and there's a sense of belonging there. And so I think concerning Reiki, if I could tell my younger self, it would have just been explore, just discover what's right for you. You will find it. And you
Right.
will. I think everyone will.
Yeah. Yeah. You end up finding that true north.
You do. 100%.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah, same with my kids. I always think of like, who did I need in my life when I was their age, 23, 27, and look at that as well.
Isn't that
So
an important
wonderful.
question? I think that's so important, that question, because then I think that's the full circle or part of the full circle of your experience. I'm not mad at not having that, right? Growing up,
Right.
that was a shadow lesson for me. It helps to inform and to direct my decisions now.
Right.
All.
Perfect. Right.
Mhm.
Perfect. So, what do you think that's something that everybody in this industry should stop doing? And you can merge, the Reiki and the yoga because those are big parts of your world.
Oh, there's so many things to say. Um, Number one with Reiki, since this is Ready Set Reiki. I would avoid calling yourself a Reiki master. Because this is something that I learned from my Reiki master, who is David Troutman. He is probably, I hope if he hears this, he's going to be so embarrassed. In my opinion, he is the kindest, most gentle, authentic, beautiful male human. He's just so unassuming, right? He's a lovely, lovely human. He's a Reiki master, right? Because Reiki is, to be quite frank, Reiki is, it's an energy, and to become a Reiki master means that you have made a choice, right? I choose to be Reiki. I am Reiki. I embody the energy of source every day of my life. Like, that is my mission. And I can say for a fact that is not my mission. I mean, I tune in,
Right.
right, as often as I can, but I feel like it would be a misnomer to call myself a master because I
Right.
have not committed myself to that. And for me, commitments are so important that I would want to have, like, changed my name, change my energy, change my job, what I do, and just commit myself to that.
Right.
So that's why I call myself a level-3 practitioner.
Practitioner.
I'm practicing at the highest level possible, but I have not committed to it. And I think that's an important, I think that's important to say because it sort of honors those who have done that. And I respect them so much. Like, I think that's such a vibe. Maybe that's something I will tune into in the future. But right now, that's not where I am. And so if I could do anything, I would ask Reiki practitioners to authenticate that and let that be okay. Like, it's okay to say the truth because I think that people can feel it anyway.
For sure. For sure they can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found as Millie and I are expanding our territory, meeting many practitioners, many of them, maybe you'll take a weekend class or they'll just sign up online and do a training and then turn around and they're teaching. So that's what's interesting as well.
I mean, but you know this, right? Like, I discovered this as a studio owner.
Mhm.
It's a business.
Right.
And I was raised in a very large, wealthy church with pastors in the 80s and 90s, right? When this was like a full-on business.
Mhm.
And I got to see the behind the scenes of that. I was just having this conversation with my son today. And I'm glad I got to see the behind the scenes so that when I got into this, I was able to see the similarities. It's not for me. I don't like it. I don't like
Right.
mixing spirituality with business. It oftentimes, for me, it doesn't allow for an authenticity that is not profitable.
Right.
And so, yeah, this is one of the reasons why I love how I teach yoga,
Mhm.
in my teacher training schools. I disagree with, people just being able to take some class online and then just be like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm a yogi master. No, I'm not even saying that there are, like, steps that we have to take or, you have to be hazed in, but it takes away from the depth of experience that you get when you've really been doing the work
Mhm.
and you've been making it a lifestyle, to whatever degree you're making it. But I also believe that if people are being helped in any little way, no matter, like, I feel like the universe is bigger than certifications and, this kind of thing. Maybe somebody needed to go to a yoga class and be taught by someone who they've been teaching for 4 minutes. That's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the plan of the universe is so much bigger. Our spirit guides, ourselves, is so much bigger that it works out. It works out.
Right.
So that's my belt. I'm a Libra, so I can be both. As much as I want to rage against it, I'm like, Autumn.
Yeah.
Like, bigger picture, people are being affected. Their lives are changing for the better.
Right.
So it's all
Right.
good.
And it's all a learning experience.
Right? Like, it's fine.
So what is the biggest challenge the industry is facing today?
I think it's being watered down. That's the challenge, is that
Good one.
it's so marketable right now. And I was talking with a friend recently, and it has become very marketable to just invest in a studio or invest in a space, or just, oh, this is a great way to make money. Let's just try this online platform. It takes the weight of that out a little bit, which this is me. This is my old soul being a fuddy-duddy, like, no, we need to get back to the basics. And I mean, maybe it's cool. Like, maybe here's the thing, like, this is the balance, right? Like, me personally, I'd be like, we need to just be super authentic. We need to be, out in a cave and just learning it from, like, just being, messages from spirit or whatever. But that's not how the world works in 2023, right? Like, so maybe these sort of, I call them popcorn yoga studios that just pop up. There's no certification. There's nothing grounding whatever they're saying. It just felt good today.
Right.
You know what? If that attracts more people, and from that group, there's a percentage of people who then go and, like, really dive deep, great. And you know what? Honestly, even for the percentage that they're just like, yoga and then brunch, good, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with it, no matter where you are on the spectrum of, this is just a fun thing to do on a Saturday morning, to this is like this is who I am. I think the fact that people are even acknowledging a spectrum of it was great. So
Right.
this is me, my dualism. I can have both opinions equally.
Yeah, that seems to be a challenge when these pop up out of the blue, and you have people that are offering. My daughter the other day is like, you really need to start doing your Reiki on TikTok. And I was just like, oh my goodness, and was telling about someone who's on there charging $250 for a session on TikTok. I was like, oh my goodness. So
yeah, I have a problem with that. But also, like, my problem is that we can all achieve these things without any of this, right?
for sure.
But then I guess the challenge is, but how do you pay your bills, right? If I just say, oh my God, Reiki is just energy exchange. Why am I paying for this? Because your time is important and you do deserve to be compensated for it. So I don't know. I honestly don't have the answers.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. And I've seen it where there's people that'll advertise so heavily. And then I know people that don't advertise at all. And the people show up. They show up and they come.
Or people that are, like, so good at what they do, like, like bananas good, but they're not great at self-promotion or self-aggrandization. So then they don't get the market like somebody else does, who really shouldn't be.
Right.
You should pipe down. You should stop promoting yourself like that. But it's fine, right? Like, it is what it is.
Right. And I always find that the right person, that student is exactly, client is exactly what is needed. So they're going to come to you for that reason. So all works out magically.
It does. You're right.
So our next question is, or what are some kind of qualities that you look for when you go get Reiki, when you look for your Reiki practitioner?
I look for authenticity. I look for someone who is just sort of very, when I connect with them. So I guess mostly it's a personal connection with that person, right? Because that's the only way to be able to tell that. Someone who it feels like there is a real connection and they are being their most authentic selves. I feel like that person is very clear. And so because really a Reiki practitioner is they're just a mode of, uh, of energy coming from source through them to you. Right. So if they feel like a very clear and authentic source, then I feel like, okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Well, then here we go. This is a clear channel. I love it. So that's what I look for. And I don't even know how you quantify or qualify that. I don't know
Right.
how you would look for
Right.
that. I'm a clear channel.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah. You
somebody
just
said that,
sense
to
it.
be honest, I would
Yeah.
probably like, all right, I
You just
trust that.
sense it. Like anytime,
Yeah.
we have other studios around the area, and it was just a different vibe when I walked through the doors of your studio. You could feel it. It just was like,
And right, there's number one, I wish I could teach people that.
yeah.
Not teach them. I wish I could free people to trust their instincts,
Hmm.
because that is something that I feel like I was not allowed when I was growing up. It was sort of like, this is the right path.
Right.
Don't fear. Don't even have an opinion. Don't tune in. And really what that does is it strips you of your own ability to choose for yourself and to trust your instincts and to grow, your ability to be intuitive. So I think that that's super important. I think it's important to just say, trust your intuition. Well, what does that feel like? Well, it's going to be scary at first,
Hmm.
right? Because you're just like, oh, I don't know if I'm making the right choice. And what I love about, for example, Bhagavad Gita, Hindu tradition, there's no right answer.
Right.
So already you're winning, right? All you have to do is just do the most authentic, correct thing for you. And that's the right thing.
Right.
That's the right thing, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm encouraging people to do. Put your fingers out. Does this person feel like the right Reiki practitioner for me? Try it. Maybe you had a reservation, but you still went with it, and then it turned out poorly. Good.
Right.
That's still a lesson. That's the lesson.
Sure.
Like, oh, I wasn't sure if that was going to work out, and then it didn't.
Mhm.
That's actually a positive lesson.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
I would teach people to just trust yourself.
Right. Right. Yeah. So they have something to gauge with. This doesn't
Yeah.
feel right. I don't like this. So when it's the next practitioner,
Right.
you know how
That's
it
right.
feels. And if it feels
Mhm.
good, that's your one.
That's
I
right.
always tell people when I teach, it's, I guess, the preschool teacher in me. It's like, find that Goldilocks shape, find what feels comfortable. What's that just right? She
Yeah.
had to jump into 3 beds and how many bowls of porridge. You'll find
Yeah.
it. Find
Yeah.
your just right.
Yeah. You will, though. That's the thing. Like, I believe that spirit, our universe, is our highest selves already out beyond this time and space, calling back to us like
Mhm.
little breadcrumbs, like, come on, remember, I'm going to say you're going to feel this. And I think that it is true. If you just put any effort out into the universe for connection, you've already answered yourself,
Right, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
See, and this is why she was such an amazing mentor, because she put things in such a beautiful way that clicked. And a lot of the things that you kind of peppered over in classes that I attended with you, I end up saying, in my classes. And one that particularly struck that I use quite frequently, I think it's on your webpage. When people come to me, that people come, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible. And you put this saying, like, that's like saying that I don't need a bath because I'm not dirty, and it just clicked. It was like,
Right.
oh my goodness, like
Right.
like that makes so much sense, right? Because you just don't take a bath because you're dirty. You can
Right.
take it because you need relaxation and
Right.
to
Or I'm
wind
not
down.
dirty
So
enough
that,
for a bath.
yeah, so that really hit that. So see, she
Yeah.
packages everything in such a beautiful way.
I'm glad that resonates. I was talking to a friend. I do mostly in person or private things now in terms of yoga and meditation. And I was talking to a friend who, somebody that I had taught, or one of my students or something, was teaching another class, and they were using some of my same phrases, and they were sort of like, oh, they were just literally parroting what you used to say. Perfect. Because then my job is done.
For
Because
sure.
I do believe in the things that I say. So if it's exponentiating outside of myself, wonderful. Then my job
Right.
here is done. Then I can just stop.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the message is being shared.
Yeah, of course. And it's supposed to go from teacher to student, and then she's elevating and then she'll, if she chooses to do that next thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. I love
Yeah.
that. So this goes into the next one. So what advice would you give someone who is just entering this profession, just brand new to it?
I would say just dive in. Go get Reiki as often as you can. Practice on as many people as you can. Research. I mean, we're in the information generation, right? You can get information literally anywhere. So I would say, because nothing's wrong, there's no wrong answer. So get experience, get information, research, dive in. If something doesn't resonate with you, perfect. What a great lesson. You just learned that that's not really your path. If something does really resonate with you, wonderful. You can, incorporate that into what you do. And just in terms of Reiki, meditation, yoga in general, and I can say this as somebody who definitely got burned out, doing too much, just
For
trying
sure.
to keep 1,000 plates spinning, is don't don't negate your own practice,
Hmm.
right? That's the most important thing. When we say as yoga instructors or even Reiki practitioners, I'm sharing my practice with you. That's
Hmm.
exactly right. If you don't have a practice, you're not sharing anything, right?
Right.
You're just sort of existing, subsisting, some would say. So it's super important to um, make sure that you are giving yourself the same care, the same attention that you would give your students or your clients. It's that imperative.
Hmm.
We have to put our sort of, you know, our mask on for air before we help those around us.
Right. Right.
Okay, when you get on a plane before you get going. And I would say that for all teachers. That's what we just finished. I just graduated another school for my 200
Yes,
hour.
I saw that.
And yeah, so, and that's what I told them. Most importantly, keep up your own practice. It's
For
that
sure.
important.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I'm in that stage right now where there's so many opportunities. I mean, my practice is becoming on my own personal time on the mat with my teachers and things is becoming less and less and less as I'm growing and working. So you need to have that time as well. And I tell my students as well who go through my Reiki training is that you got to do the practice. You got to work on yourself. It's like strengthening that muscle. You have to use this every day, whether it is putting the symbol on a bottle of water, or on that doorknob, or as you're taking steps, make sure to do this every day. So a lot of people, I get that, hey, I've done this before, it's not working. What can I do? Um, and then as you kind of peel back the layers of the reason why, and it comes down to they're not practicing and they're not doing the self treatments.
Well,
So.
and isn't that just like, I mean, I think in general, right? Like you are a leader. If you are taking care of yourself,
Mhm.
you've already become a leader, because I think that especially in America, that is one thing that we as a people group are not doing. We're
Right.
not taking care of ourselves. We have praised overworking for so many
For
decades and
sure.
centuries that it almost felt like, oh, la-di-da. Oh, you're taking the half a day. Oh, well, look at you. Oh, well, it must be nice. And
Yeah.
they don't mean that. It's kind of just like a hit at like, you need to get back to work. So I think for you are already a leader. If you are taking time, you know what? I take 30 minutes a day. I'm not saying this for me. I'm just saying, if you were to say, I take 30 minutes a day and I practice yoga
Right.
for my own self-discipline, for my own betterment, for my own connection with the world,
Right.
you don't even have to teach anything, in
For
my opinion.
sure.
somebody else could be like, oh, geez, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Right.
And also I think it that connection that we talked about earlier, that authenticity that you're looking for from a Reiki practitioner,
Hmm.
people can feel that. They can feel if you actually practice Reiki on yourself, or
Right.
my sweet Dave Troutman. Oh, again, just I'm gonna connect you guys if you're not already connected.
For sure.
Um,
We'd love that.
right? He's the best. He would love this. But every I remember him saying you can find uh you'll f- the most authentic Reiki practitioners are the hardest to find. And
Right.
I didn't understand that when he said that, because they're not out toting themselves. Hi, I'm the
Hmm.
queen of and there was a person, I won't name his name because I don't know if he would want me to, but he is a home inspector. And we just sort of were friends on social media or whatever,
Sure.
his wife. And I said something, I posted something about Reiki or energy or something. And this home inspector, he's a home inspector. He spends
Yeah.
most of his days in attics or in
Sure.
basements or under, checking things. He said, I practice Reiki for the whole world every morning. He sends out
Wonderful.
Reiki energy of
Yeah.
healing to the whole world.
Girl.
This guy who's wearing khakis and he'll come home from work with just like mud everywhere. Number
Yeah.
one, I didn't even know he knew what Reiki was.
Sure.
Number two, I sure didn't know that he was practicing Reiki for the whole world.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah. So I think the most important thing is that, and he doesn't tell people this. This is not on his, Facebook profile
Yeah.
or
On his resume.
Instagram profile. Hi, I practice Reiki on the world every day. I've known him for years. Never knew that.
Right.
Right. So I think it's important to just you do you at the most authentic, true um space. And that in and of itself is a message to the world.
Right. Right. Yeah. You just got to practice and take care of yourself. Yeah. And I remember in one of your classes, you had were in let us into Uttanasana and Ragdoll, and you had said, I do this several times a day. There are moments when I have to go in the bathroom or whatever and
I already
just
know what time of life that was. I'm
and
like,
that's
yeah.
always stuck with me. And I have spoken this in
Mhm,
classes
mhm,
and it really got me through my sister dying and the pandemic. I did that because I
mhm.
thought, my goodness, maybe this is a way to just kind of reset.
It is,
So
right?
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
and the thing is, people can feel when you're saying words just because you saw them on YouTube or because, you're just parroting what somebody else has said. People can tell when you're saying things from your soul, from your gut.
yes, yeah,
And I mean, that's exactly what you're saying. That's the
yeah,
only way I know how to teach.
yeah,
I do this because
yes,
sometimes anxiety be so bad that you
for
have to like
sure.
do
Yeah.
some rough work, or you have to just lay in bed before you check out at night and
Hmm.
do that Reiki, find that healing space. Um, and it does work. Otherwise, none of us would be in this,
For
would be on
sure.
the call right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If we didn't 100% believe in it.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I had like a crazy busy weekend and I had gone to the studio and then I went into the grocery store and I just came out to the car and I'm like, I'm just going to do Reiki. I just sat there in the parking lot to give myself Reiki. I needed that just calmness and settle down. And that was the only thing I can do. I'm like, I tell these people to do this. I need to do it myself. Give that love and that energy. So
But isn't that
yes.
nice? I mean,
Yeah.
what if the whole world did that? What if
Right.
the whole world took a pause when they needed to,
Yeah.
checked in with self, with spirit, gathered themselves, and then made choices after that, right? Like
Right.
there would be no war.
You just pause. And I just pause. I'm like, I'm in a parking lot. My friend's like, my goodness, I had to pull over at a gas station and I gave my daughter Reiki. Wonderful. How wonderful is that? She says, but it was a gas station.
No,
Anywhere.
what? That's right. Reiki's energy. What are you talking about? It's
Sure.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's what a tool, right?
Hmm.
That's why I think I like always my favorite audience, my favorite clientele I call them ground zero. They have no clue about Reiki, nothing. They have no clue about yoga, about meditation, about breath work. Like my favorite client is wearing what do they call those kind of Carhartt pants? He's got a beer and a beer cozy. He's got some sort of like scruffy shirt. He
Yeah.
smells body sweat. And he's got dirt under his nails.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, let's do yoga.
I love
Like
it.
that's 100% my favorite client because it's authentic. You know what I mean? I feel like if I can get this person to find their breath, to find inner peace, to find real connection, and what else is there?
Yeah.
What else is there for me? I'm not really interested in the people who have had like level 19. Meh, 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 meh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. You guys are good. Like in my opinion, they're good.
Yeah.
I'm always about the whole big picture. You know
Right.
who hasn't been talked to? These people. I'd like ground zero people because there's a lot more of them,
For
right?
sure.
Than people in yoga studios and Reiki sessions already.
Yes.
I want people who are like, what's Reiki? This way.
Right. I remember I had come in and you had your little whiteboard and you were like your energy was just because that's my jam. I was
Right?
like,
Yes. And I love it because look, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like
mhm.
me just doing what felt correct in that moment
Yeah,
led you to do what feels correct in this moment.
for sure. It was just like there you were with the torch lighting up a path for me and I ran. So
You
that's where I
sure
always
did, run.
contributed.
Look
Yeah,
at
because
you.
yeah, I
Yes.
had done it years before and I just kind of put it on the shelf because when I moved back to Murraysville, I couldn't find that studio for me. I
Yeah.
was like, I would go to one, which as well, and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And so I waited and I remember you had the first Yoga in the Park event and Karina was teaching the class and she just was, we were winding down and it was just beautiful, the grass and the birds were singing, and I just teared up because it was like, was going through so much in my life, and here it was, and I thought, gosh, I wish this was here a couple years ago. And then I was pausing and I thought, you know what, but it's here now, let me enjoy this.
Yeah.
And right after my sister died, immediately that next day I showed up at Breathe.
Mm,
And I remember, I think it was Karina also again, like, why are you here? I'm like, this is the only thing I knew how to do, just to
yeah.
come back. And I remember she put me in a heart opener and just the tears were just coming out of me just because I
Mm,
had lost her. So
mm,
that was such kind of an anchor for me in
yeah.
life with that practice. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so it was a
No, it is,
wonderful,
and that is, I had another student who came in. This is when I was first starting, I was trying to set a precedence.
yeah.
And she came in late and I was trying to do all these precedences. Should
Yeah.
I lock the door after a certain amount of time? Meh, meh,
Yes.
meh, meh. This person came in late and I was like, you're trying to take advantage of me, right? Stupid victim mentality, whatever. And I was like, "Ugh." And spirit very quickly was like, no, change your attitude. Change your attitude right now and just see this person as a human and
Right.
love her, period. Just love her. And so I was like, "Ugh, all right." And so I led my class. And after class, my ego, oh, that's stupid, but
Yeah.
very, very prevalent ego was like, should I give her an angry face so that she knows how I feel? And spirit was like, no, you just show love. Your whole role here is to just be love
Yeah.
embodied. The end. That is Reiki, right? And so I
Right.
was like, all right. So everybody's leaving, and I just, I said it's lovely to see you, blah blah blah, and that was true. I just had to like get out of my own A. I can't say, I don't know if we're allowed to curse on this show. I had to get out of my own A and just be like present with her. And as it turns out, her brother died the day before.
Yeah.
And it was his first day of retirement, and he
Poor.
fell off the ladder and he died
Right.
just that fast.
Yeah.
What? He was well-bodied, able,
Yeah.
healthy, just fell off a ladder and
Yeah.
died. And she said, and I was just sitting in bed. And like at this point, I understood the bigger picture, right? So
Sure.
I'm falling. Like I was like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
Because I understood the bigger picture and why spirit was like, nope, get your head out of your A and be available for her.
Right.
And then she started crying and she was like, thank you for this. This is the first time I've cried since it happened, because she's like, I got up today and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I was going to do today or
Yeah.
how to do anything. She's like, and the first thought that came to my mind was go to yoga. And I looked at my watch and I was like, I'm going to be late. And I just felt like I was supposed to go anyway.
Aw,
Do you know what I mean? So it's in
what a
those
gift.
situations that you're
Yeah.
just like, this is so much bigger than me. Like I'm
Yeah.
just a conduit. And if you can keep that in mind, right?
Hmm.
Like just be available and not just be available, trust the bigger picture. Because sometimes
Yes.
you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm saying this the perfect way, or I don't know if, but if you are just being your most authentic self, like let's say with Reiki, the person didn't leave levitating and they're just like, I don't know, I didn't get anything from it. Like
Yeah.
you could tend to feel a little bit insecure and be like, oh,
Right.
maybe I don't have any magical powers. Maybe I'm useless in this field and I should just, stick to finance or something. Um, but if you go in there with, I'm going in here totally raw, totally connected with spirit, and whatever happens, happens. And Carol actually taught me that, I call her my psychic mentor, but
Right.
she taught me that you do what you do and let spirit handle the rest and take your ego out of it from the beginning.
Right.
And if somebody comes back and it changed their whole life, that has nothing to do with you. If somebody comes back and they're like, that was the stupidest half hour I ever spent in my life, none of your business. You have nothing to do with that, right? I
Right.
am just a channel. And if you can get out of your own way and then just be a conduit
Hmm.
of spirit energy from this person, a connector, which again is what I said at the beginning, that's what I am,
Sure.
the connector, right? So I just try to stay out of the way and let spirit move through. And then my role is to just step back and trust
Right.
in something bigger. And it's wonderful. It's great to see it happen. I don't always see it. I probably would say I never see it, but it's
Right.
wonderful when you do see it, just like, oh, right on.
Yeah.
That,
And you hear about it later.
yeah. Or like not even here. Maybe it's when I leave and I get to sort
Sure.
of see bigger picture. I'm like, oh, that worked out well. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Well, our last question is, do you work with archangels? And if you do you have a go-to archangel or spirit guide or?
So I wouldn't say necessarily archangels. I know Raphael is one of the ones that Carol works with archangels. So
Carols?
she's
Yeah.
always like, Raphael. Which is fine. I honestly don't know much about them. I know about them. Oh, that's a lie. I do know about them. I just don't work with them much.
Sure.
I am more sort of claircognizant.
Okay.
And so I just know stuff. I don't know. It's a really weird thing to say to
Right.
people.
Right.
Um, I just know things. And I'm also clairvoyant and I can just see the things. So when I see
Right.
them or hear them or know them, sometimes I can smell them. I know that sounds so weird. And I
Yes.
don't,
Yes. Right. Right. Right.
this is a business and I'm not going to tell you which one, but I'll tell you who doesn't talk about smelling spiritually here, me. Um, but I love it because there's so many people here who when I start to talk about it, they're like, oh, well, are we talking about this? Because when I was little, I had this vision. Huh? Or they'll have their own experiences.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't necessarily work with archangels per se. I work very much with spirit guides. I work a lot with just sort of universal energy, just source.
Yes.
Connecting with that, I'm always awake. Everybody knows I always wake up between like 2:30
I
to
remember you were always up so early. Used to do a 6 a.m. yoga class.
well, and it's not like a choice. It's not like I
Yeah.
love waking up in the middle of the night. But for me, it's when things are the clearest and
Yeah.
everything just makes so much sense. And I love that because
Yeah.
like almost around 4 or 5, I start getting sometimes I understand it now, but before I would get sad, like, oh, I'm leaving my favorite space to be in, where
Yeah.
everything just feels very clear.
Yes.
Um, and so I think that that's something I've learned to work with
Mm-hmm.
over the years, is tuning into that space of clarity at any time. Um, but it is a choice, because I've also known some spiritists who have gotten burned out,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
because they didn't know how to shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
They were just an open sort of
Yeah,
door, and
sure.
spirit energy.
Everybody came in.
Right. So I think it's super important, to, protect yourself, and to create that safe space for yourself first.
Yes.
Um, and then, the more open to it, I feel blessed by it. It's a lot. It can feel very taxing. I did a mediumship course, I don't know, last year or the year before, and it was very taxing. And
Mm-hmm.
a friend of mine was like, okay, but you have this ability and you're not just like running around using it. And I'm like, no, it's very taxing. It
Yeah, yeah,
feels
people
like,
don't
like
realize that. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot. Like I feel like a train wreck after I'm
Mm-hmm.
done, because oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so right now I'm taking a little bit of a break.
Yes. To
Um
breathe.
I Girl, that's literally what I'm doing.
You said to breathe.
Um, I have turned down a couple of job opportunities. I
Right.
have turned down a couple of studio opportunities, because I feel like this is my season for rest and for re-envisioning. And I know who I am. As
Sure.
soon as the path is clear,
Yeah.
we'll run for it, just because I am usually at 100 miles per hour. Pop, pop,
Yes.
pop, let's go, let's
Yep.
go. And so this is me being at rest 100 miles per
Yeah.
hour. Imagine
Yeah.
that. Like, I'm just like, nope. I'm saying no. I'm learning to say no,
Yeah.
and to be okay with things not being done perfectly, or things not being done,
Yeah.
period. Just being
Yeah.
like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because when animals are in pain, or when they are needing to rest, we are pets. We love them. If a pet came
Mm-hmm.
up with like a little broken limb and was just like,
Yeah.
"Ooh,"
Yeah.
we would call off work. We'd be holding that pet and be like,
Right.
well, you just stay put. You just rest, little nugget. And so it's important to like kind of have that for yourself, right?
Sure, of course.
Lick your own sort of soul and be like, okay, come on, we're just gonna rest.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm learning to do.
Yeah. You were always on the go. You'd go and teach a class, and the next thing I know, I saw you walking to Starbucks. I'm like, what is she doing?
So much. There's so much. And then just like raising kids and working,
You
and I'm
were, yeah.
in school now. So like there's a lot. And I could tell that there's a new vision coming. And
Yes.
so I want to be rested.
Mm-hmm.
When the plane lands, essentially, when the vision lands, I want to be able
Yes.
to hit the ground running. So the only
Perfect.
way to do that, when I used to travel a lot when I was younger, I used to stay awake at the beginning because it was so exciting. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, the clouds. Oh my God, this was before 9/11. They were bringing around whole meals with actual silverware.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was so exciting. I'd watch a movie. I don't know why I felt different on a plane. And then after I got used to it, I discovered when I landed, the it was so much worse trying to adapt to the local
Yeah.
time when I had just been awake for 48 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned in travel times to sleep,
Right.
so that when you land at your next destination, you're well rested. So
No.
that's what I'm doing right now. I know that I'm in travel mode,
Yes.
spiritually. And so when my spirit lands in the next place, I'll be rested.
Yeah. So you put that together beautifully. Yeah. So it's like you go on this journey with you, and you're like, oh. And that's always what it was like when I would go in the studio, because I felt like I got a lesson every time I joined your class. So I
I'm
love that.
glad. That makes me happy.
Love
I'm
that.
thrilled.
I love that. So our other question is, what books do you recommend?
This isn't really necessarily a spiritual book,
That's okay. That's what
but
shaped you, you know?
yeah, the book that I feel like I have resonated the most with recently, well, I mean, I'm always going to recommend The Power of Now. I buy that for everybody that my one coworker just left, and I just bought her that book.
Aw.
Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now is just like the Bible, whatever.
Yeah.
So that goes without saying. The next book that is not really spiritual at all is Brene Brown. She
Mm.
is a She's got many PhDs in shame, and just sort of learning about human emotion. And so the book that I would recommend is called Atlas of the Heart. And she and her research team went around the world discovering, I think it was 80 different emotions. Most people can only name about 7, 8,
Wow.
up to 14. There are actually 80. And she
Yeah.
goes through the whole book. There's actually a show on HBO. It's her presenting it to an audience,
Yeah.
like a workshop. And I just love the book. It helped me to explore and to validate emotions that I literally didn't even know that existed within me. But when she says them, it's like what you were just saying. When I say a story and you're like, I'm right there with you. That's how I felt about Brene.
Right.
Emotions that I was like, oh, and also delineating, right, between emotions that we group together as one, but actually if we spread them out, they can be 4 different things.
Right.
And knowing them helps you to be clearer in your communication, not just with the world, but with yourself. If you know, I'm sad, but I'm not depressed, maybe you're allowed to just sit with that a little bit.
Mhm.
If you know I'm sad and I'm depressed, then you know that there's more layers to go through that. If you're, it's like, I'm sad, I'm depressed, and I'm resentful. Okay, do you know what I'm saying? So it just helps
Yes.
you to sort of, I love all of that, deconstructing a
Yes.
moment to have the most clarity, and also the most power, right? Once you know these things, you have the power then to work with what you're discovering. But you don't have that power if you don't even know that it exists.
Yes.
So yeah, I would tell everybody, run to your local, I don't even know if bookstores exist, run to Amazon or something. I mean, you can go at, like, it's literally, I just do audiobooks because I don't have time to read, but I'm
Yeah.
always cooking. So I just
Sure.
listen to these books and I'm like crying on the way into work. It's a
Aw.
wonderful thing. I love it.
Perfect. All right. Our last question is, where can we find you? So where can our listeners find you? And
Sure.
what do you do? What do you offer?
So again, most of the things, it's not in person anymore. I shut down the studio. So it's mostly as online. So if you go to Breathe Yoga PGH or breatheyogapittsburgh.com, or you can email me straight away. Like the email is connected to that, but the email is really breathyogapgh@gmail.com. And just reach out to me and I will gladly, if it's yoga therapy, which is a huge thing, I am very interconnected with a colleague of mine, Suzanne, who Payon, who is a doctor, and she's not a medical doctor. She has her PhD in business administration, health administration, and she's also finishing up her yoga therapy licensure
Wonderful. Wonderful.
certification. So I would send people there. If you want private lessons, whether it's Reiki, meditation, yoga, I am accepting those things on a case by case basis. Remember, this is my rest time.
This is your rest. And Suzanne is wonderful too. I've taken many a class with her. Extremely knowledgeable.
Oh my
She was
God.
a professor, right, at
Yep, she
Pitt.
still is.
So
Pitt
yeah.
in
So I
Harlem.
mean, yeah. So you're going to get schooled, but in a
Oh
loving
God.
way.
So
She
brilliant.
very,
Yeah, yeah.
very, very smart. Knows her things, and you do as well. So yeah. But she's a
And if you
wonderful
need
teacher.
connections with a teacher, someone to do meditation, someone to do Reiki, and I'm not available, that's one great thing about having had the studio. I have a
Yes.
large pool of resources
Right. Right.
to suggest and to share with other people if they need it.
Right. Right. So that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Well, we have finished this part of our journey as I have been your guide. So I'm going to pass you on to our other guide, Millie, and she has some questions from our social media. So, Millie, the floor is yours.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oops, we can't hear you, Millie. Is there a way to?
Yeah.
Oh, I do this
Oh,
all
there
the
you
time.
are.
Yeah, Stacy's son is going to have to edit that again. So anyway, I almost need an opportunity to rest after listening to everything you've been doing, everything that you're about. I really admire your, your resolve and where you're at with this. And also, how you're working towards balancing, these parts of your life with your, more formal and, the things that you also selected to do with raising 4 beautiful children and having, these connections with others and promoting them, honoring yourself. I just, I really resonate with that a lot.
Thank
As
you.
Tracy told you before, I was looking so forward to meeting you. And now that I have, I just feel like I want to float out of here. So,
Oh, that's great. I'm happy to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I do know Dave Troutman. He's made the rounds over the years to various events that I've attended. And I just made a note here that, Tracy and I've spoken about him way in the past with one of our other guests. And I am going to reach out to him and just tell him all the beautiful recommendations. And, I know that he's transcendental meditation. He practices daily. He's very tuned into all those things. And I would just, we would just love to have him on the show. So thank you for the recommendation as well.
It is a pleasure to be mentioning him. He will be surprised because I don't really tell him these things. He'll be like, "What did she say?" Yeah.
We'll be like, "Well, it's on record. Go to the podcast." It's true. Go to YouTube. You'll see her face, and her words will be spoken. So, but anyway, as Tracy spoke, we ask people to, we like to get a little bit of our audience participation, and invite them that, to review the biographies and review the information about our upcoming podcasts and to send in questions that they may have, especially for you. So Tracy takes all the questions and boils it down to 3 because we know that everybody's time is valuable. We will always make exceptions to address others. But the first one that I have for you, and you've spoken quite a bit about this, is how do you know when something is in need of healing at the spiritual, mental, emotional, and or physical level? What's your we'll go with spidey sense. What do you get that feeling on?
How I would answer that, I remember sort of realizing that the word disease really is the word dis-ease. So the opposite of that is ease, right? Or flow. So when things feel like they're flowing, when they feel like there's ease, when they feel like, you're on the right path, it feels, even if there's challenge, it still feels purposeful and meaningful as you're going through them, you're in the right place. If there's a part where you run up to something, I feel like I run up to something, it's usually my breath. I'm Vata. And so with my breath, it feels like there's weight on my chest, or my fingertips. Anyway, I know that there's something off, and I spend all kinds of time combing through that and finding out, it's like finding a diamond, right, in a sand, and I look at it as that. I don't see it as a problem to avoid. I see it as a diamond. And normally you run up against sort of a sandbar, right? And you're like, "Oh, what is this?" And so then this about this digging and just asking the question, well, why? Well, why? And when you finally get down to the root of it, it hits down at your soul level. And then you work on it. And my true belief is that you wouldn't even have found it if it wasn't time to work on it. So work on it. If
Yeah,
it means tears or sadness, anger, frustration, anxiety, good. These are all wonderful things that our body has developed to help us to know where the diamond is.
I really appreciate that, because I am, as an individual, self-care, and if I always promote to my clients and the people I work with that, you have to find meaning in everything. I always said I've never gone to a bad party, because I've always walked away and said, well, I know I'm not going to do that and that, but I like that. And
right, you're failing forward, right? Like everything is
right.
just, it's informational. You can grow from it. Yes, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. If I didn't practice or take care of myself at some level, I know right away when I'm not doing it enough. How am I supposed to give those gifts and blessings to others? I don't have the ability to. I don't understand them. I'm not centered enough to do that. So thank you. You're right. It comes up because there's a need. And
we're right.
Yeah.
It's time.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much. The next question I have is, what does it look like when you are burned out? What practices restore you? It's kind of a good segue on the one we just discussed.
I think I know I'm burned out when I resist doing whatever I'm supposed to do. Oops, sorry. Can you guys still see me? Okay, I had a phone call. Sorry, can you hear that? Okay, great. I have been burned out, and when there's the heaviness when I think about doing something. Also, my vodka intake, that's true. Whenever I need something to disassociate myself from what I'm about to do, I'm burned out, and I'm just going through the paces because I have to. And that's how I was raised, strong work ethic, just keep going, just keep doing, just get up the mountain, right? Not climbing a mountain's not hilarious or fun all the time. And so it's fine to be burned out. I think that it just means you have to take more time to restore. I don't think that means it takes you off of your mission per se. Maybe you just rest a bit, right? Maybe you take a couple more naps on your way up. Maybe this is a part of your journey where you're resting for a couple of days. It doesn't mean you climb down the mountain. It doesn't mean, you jump ship or whatever. It means that you're taking time to rest and to restore, because you cannot go at 0%. You can't go at 10%. You have to be able to go at like 90 to 100. And when you're at 90 to 100, you're filled with energy. You're ready. You're excited. You want to, sort of conquer the day. But when I feel uninspired or annoyed or resistant about something I'm doing, that to me is just like feeling dis-ease. Something isn't right, done right, something's not fitting anymore. And so I take time. I will take a huge pause and just scour, comb through, keep asking the bigger questions. Well, why don't I want to do this anymore? Well, what are the things that are making this feel not ease or not flow for me? And then I deal with them, and then, you deal with them. And I think part of the reason why we don't ask the questions is because we don't want to be responsible for the answer, right? So like if you probably know you're supposed to be doing something different, but you're like, I don't want to have to deal with the repercussions and the ramifications of what this information means. And that's really a lot of what it is, right? So I think it's up to the individual. Me, I'm the least pushy person ever. If somebody wants to be where they are, be where you are. I don't care. That's not my journey, right? That's just not my journey. My soul is so old that I'm like, I can't wait for this part to be done. So I'm just like, what other lessons? Come on, bring them on, bring the lessons. I want to get through them. So sometimes that energy is helpful for other people who might be a little bit more resistant. But everybody will do it in their own time when they're ready,
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's words to live by,
right? Energy to sort of go with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something that you should ignore, but you should use to your advantage to step back and,
yeah.
You
don't fall on the rock will end up falling on you. Right?
Very good. Very, very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And the third one we have is, as a seasoned Reiki practitioner, how long did you practice until you felt confident in your healing modality?
I will say that I feel thankful for my Reiki training, because he gave us time to practice in our training with each other. And so after the training was done, a lot of us would do Reiki shares together, whether it was just 2 of us or 4 of us. Also, when I like something, I dive in. So I look for opportunities. Like, I just told this to my yoga students who just graduated over the weekend. I don't have a studio right now. So in a way, I feel bad for them, because I'm like, oh, normally easy transition. Oh, boop. I just teach at the same studio that I come to all the time. Now you're going to have to put effort in. But when I was becoming a yoga teacher, boy, you couldn't tell me anything different. I looked for opportunities. Somebody just said, hi. I was like, yoga, am I right? And I just was like looking for opportunities, because this was in my passion. So same thing with Reiki. Also, I think something that benefits me is my lack of ego when it comes to looking like an idiot trying something. I'm like, oh, see, I can't have a potty mouth. Emma said F it. I'm just like, forget it. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, who cares? But one of the advice that I think that helped me most was, there's nothing to get out of this, right? Like, all you're doing is helping that person to connect with spirit, their own spirit. The end. So if you just do that, that's all that matters. And it took the pressure off of me, the performative pressure to like make this magical for them, or to let them feel some like magical thing, or hope that they got some specific experience out of that, which is actually very sort of putting spirit in a box. Well, it needs to look like this. It needs to feel like this. There's no box. It's spirit, right? So it took the pressure off of me. And then opening up my studio, which not everybody does. Tracy does. You just get your training and you're like, all right, let's open a studio. Let's see what happens next. That's kind of what I did. And people were asking about it. And I was like, I guess I do Reiki. I'm the least self-promoting. Like, it's the worst. I'm the worst at it. I don't even like taking photos. But it's usually when people ask me, when there's a need, what I am is a helper. I will help and heal as there's need. But I'm never going to like I would have never called Tracy and been like, Tracy, I know you have a podcast. I need to be on it. I need to share my information with the people. Like, I would never, ever do that. But if Tracy says, hey, I have a need, I want you to share. Oh my gosh, I'm there 100%. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's just sort of how I am with most things. I'm not going to tell people, like, nobody here knows I'm a Reiki practitioner. I would never tell them that. But if somebody was like, I just have anxiety at night, I feel like I can't sleep. Well, then I feel like I need to help them.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, well, you know what? There's something for that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's moving, because in my thinking, and I know Tracy and I feel a lot about the same about this, we're here to help guide others, to their higher selves and promote the healing.
Yeah.
I'm very similar. Tracy's bringing me out of my shell. Regarding
nice
self-promotion.
No, it's important to have that, because otherwise you may not even know. Like, one of the things that made me feel so good about my own abilities was when I did a Reiki share. with Dave, with Carol, and with 2 other people, another woman who owned a yoga studio and somebody else. And they were like, oh, you can really channel some powerful energy. And I was like, what? Can you feel that? Like, help me connecting with other spiritual people is very beneficial for me because I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm doing. So for other people to respond positively to it is helpful. Oh, I didn't know. So I think that's great that you have Tracy telling you like, no, 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 honey, you're the best. Because then you know it, you believe it.
Yeah.
I do. I get exhausted just watching Tracy in motion and feeling, I swear, from El Paso to Pittsburgh. I get her vibes in my mind to the point where at night I need to go to sleep.
And that's true too.
I need to ponder on this for a while.
Right. That's funny.
And we'll exchange a few texts and I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go,
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. I'm glad for your connection with her. That's great.
Yeah. That goes back to your connections are important. So
yeah.
It's been a lot of fun and emotional uplifting for me, very much so. So I and through the magic and enlightenment of the internet and social media and everything, everybody stays, we stay in touch.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of minutes, days, or hours or days, and it's just fantastic. So thank you so much. That was beautiful. Well, time. I don't have anything else, but did you have anything else, Autumn, you wanted to add? Or
No.
People can get in touch with you. Thank you so much. Like I said again, I'm
email me.
Sitting here and meeting you and having Tracy on my screen as well has been a lot of fun and a lot of information exchange that I think is very valuable. So Tracy, I will turn this back to my co-guide.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was an honor and privilege to have you on. I've been looking forward to this. And how we end up our Ready, Set, Reiki is Millie gives her little tagline. So Millie, if you're ready for that to end our program.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And again, I'm Millie Pampina, and I'm the second part of Ready, Set, Reiki hosting. And, like I always like to deliver to people, to see beauty in all things is a choice. Please choose wisely.
And I'm Tracy Seawright, and thank you so much for joining us on Ready, Set, Reiki. Until next time.